All right, this is the Algebra 1, Unit 1, Skill 10 video dealing with least common multiples and least common denominators, which are really two terms for the same thing, or at least least common denominators are one way that least common multiples are used in math. So a least common multiple means that when I take two numbers, let me go ahead and just open a drawing here. If I take two numbers, let's just pick two, like 7 and 5, and we want to know what the least common multiple is, then we can simply find it by writing a list of the numbers that these multiply to make. So 7 could be 7, 14, 21, 28, 5 is 5, 10, 15. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for the first time that these lists match. So far, nothing. 21, 20, okay, nothing so far. So 7, 35, 30, and of course 35. So we can see that 35 appears in both lists. So then the least common multiple of 7 and 5 would be 35. That would be our least common multiple. So that's really what you have to do for any of these problems that you're looking at. And it could include the number itself. So what I mean by that is if I had the numbers 2 and 14, 2 is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. And obviously 14, the first one is 14. So 14 is the least common multiple of 2 and 14 is 14. So that can totally happen. So you have to just make sure you're aware of that. But generally speaking, it's going to look like this first example. So let's look at how they do this in the lesson. Find the least common multiple of the given numbers, 5 and 8. So you need to list the multiples of 5, list the multiples of 8 until those two have the same number. And the lowest number that they share is the correct answer. Same thing for number 2. List them, find the lowest one. All right. So then in number 3, they get here and they say, find the least common denominator, LCD, for the fractions. So when they ask for that, really all we're saying is they're getting us to the point to where we can know what to do to make fractions have the same denominators. So we're not going to be doing it yet, but they're giving us kind of the first step of that process. So if I have like 2/3 and 4/15, I could list the multiples of these numbers, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And of course, you'd see that 15 is the least common multiple. And then I would use that later to do something with these fractions. But in these first problems, they just want you to find the LCD for the fraction. So really all you're going to do is find the LCM of 5 and 6, which are these terms right here, the denominators. So that's all you got to do. So you're doing exactly what you did up here, but with the denominators of those fractions. So that's going to be number 3 and number 5 and number 7 and number 9. All of those are going to be that same exact way. Then the next problem is going to have you actually do what you're supposed to do with that information. So let's jump over here and let's look at our example. We had 2/3 and 4/15, and they wanted us to make them have equivalent, okay, using the common denominator. So they want us to find the equivalent using the common denominator. So the common denominator was 15. So the question is, how do I make 2/3 become 15? Well, I know the denominator is going to be 15. And the question I have to ask is, what did I multiply 3 by to get to 15? Well, I multiply it times 5. So then I do the same thing to 2, and I get the top of my fraction. So this is what we call the equivalent fraction with the denominator of 15. Obviously, 4/15 doesn't need to be changed at all. It's already ready to go. So all you have to do on the problem after you find the LCM, you come down here and you say, okay, what do I multiply 5 by to get to the LCM? So whatever that is, jump over here and get a pen. If I have 2/5, I need to figure out what did I multiply by to get that LCD. Whatever I multiplied by, I need to multiply both the top and the bottom by that number. Okay? So I'll just tell you right now, the LCM, or sorry, the LCD, also known as the LCM, of 5 and 6 is 30. Okay, it's okay. It's fine. I told you that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and then of course 6 is 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. So there's my 30. And then I go down, erase that, and we would say, okay, how do I make 5 become 30? Well, to make 5 30, I need to multiply times 6. So I want to do both by 6. 5 times 6 is 30. 2 times 6 is 12. So that would be the new fraction for that one. Do the same thing to the other fraction. The other fraction is 5 over 6 times what gives me 30 in the denominator. You need to fill in this and this, and that gives you the answer for the equivalent fraction of 5 over 6. So again, process. Find the LCM of the denominators. Take that and find the equivalent fraction for each of the original fractions, going with the denominator to find out what makes that denominator become the denominator you need. Multiply the top and bottom by that number. That's your new fraction. That's what you do for the rest of these problems. So I hope you guys are doing all right, and please reach out to me if you have questions or if you want to see other problems worked. But that's the end of the Skill 10 video.